Hey everyone, this is me, Undead Viking. I want to take some time out of your day to talk to you about this game. It's called Sector Prime. Sector Prime is a 4X space game where each player will take on the role of a giant space mining corporation, and that has just discovered this brand new sector of space, a prime sector, if you will, that is just right for the plucking and full of untapped resources that your corporation can use to maintain and increase their power within the galaxy. Each player will take on this role of being kind of like a CEO that will create these mining drones that they'll send out into the space to both mine the planets that are there, but also wage battle against the other players' mining drones as you kind of fight over the different planets and the right to extract these cool green crystals from them that you can then use to increase your power, increase your abilities, and so on and so forth within this prime sector, this sector prime, if you will. This is a 4X game, but it is not like many 4X games that I played prior to this. I'm always a sucker for space themes, and I'm always a sucker for 4X games. So let me tell you how to play the game, and then we'll come back here and I'll talk to you about why I have enjoyed playing Sector Prime. Alright, I've gone ahead and set up a 3-player game of Sector Prime. Now, I set it up in this triangle here, but as you can guess, this is a game that uses these little hexes, and when you set up the game, there are different variants as far as how the map is set up. And so, you don't always have to play in this triangle. There's, like in the rules, they have different ways to set these hexes up, and of course with like 4 players, it's going to be a little bit larger, and there's different ways to set up that way as well. And also keep in mind that this is a prototype that I was sent, so this may or may not look like the final game once it is published. Alright, so the first thing that happens after you set up the map is that each person is going to get one of these player cards. And these player cards have different variable player powers that somehow just break the rules that they normally work. You know, like the tactician here. Their powers depend upon if they control 1 tile or control 3 tiles, and so like you can gain, you might gain your control 3 tiles one turn, but then you lose control, and so you lose it again. But so disputes are obviously like these are the combats that you'll be having, your drones, your mining drones that you send out to plumb the sector of its resources. They will fight each other, and so like you control 1 tile, you get a +1 to all dispute rolls. So like when you're rolling your attacks, you get a +1, and then if you control 3, the tie goes to you at all dispute rolls. Normally, in a dispute, the defender, wins all ties. But in this case, the tactician, because they're a tactician, if they're the attacker, they win the tie rolls. Here's the designer. If he gets -1 cost to build structures, because you actually you're building up the abilities of your player race or your side, if you will, and then you'll get cost you less to build things. And then if you control 3 tiles, it's +1 to your dispute roll when defending. So if you get attacked, you get to add 1 roll to your roll. So just things like that. You get that handed to you randomly. Theoretically, you could roll a die, and each person could pick the one they want and go from there. But anyway, so after that's done, you get each person then, depending upon who the first player is, will get to pick the spot that they want to put their station at, their space station. And you get this little base here, and then you'll notice that there's just this really nothing to your space station. But you get these 3 cards that show the increase to your size. So there's a little bit bigger, and then a little bit bigger, and then obviously this giant space station. And the thing is that if you manage to build up your space station to this level, that's how you win the game. So this isn't a situation where you're trying to conquer the entire area and take out your enemies. Obviously, but you're probably going to be taking out your enemies because that's going to help you win. But this is one of those things where, as you build and expand, then you're able to build and expand your space station, and then hopefully you're the first person to get your space station to that point, and then you'll win the game. So along with that, it's you get these 3 dice. The 3 dice actually correspond when it's going to tell you to roll your station die. When you roll your station die, you start out with a D12, and then as you increase to the next level, you go to a D10, and then you go to a D8. Now the reason for that, thematically, is that more and more of your power is being spent to maintain your space station, and so then you have less available power for the things that you want to do, and that's why the die decreases. And it's kind of a neat little thing, because as you get closer to victory, it becomes more and more difficult to actually attain that victory. It's kind of a neat little thing. So when I reference, as I'm showing you how to play the game, when you roll your station die, the station die is dependent upon how far along you are. And so it could be a D12, a D10, or a D8. Now each person's going to get one of these little cool boards here, so it's going to have all the rules that you need on there. And also, like, you put that in front of you so you can hide, like, how many of these crystals you have. Because the crystals are money, and they kind of determine a lot of everything that you can do. So, as with a lot of these games, you're going to start off at the beginning, kind of building up your infrastructure, building up your riches, if you will. So then, and also kind of staking a claim to the areas around your starting spot. And I should mention that your starting spot is chosen by the players. It doesn't have to be in each one of these corners. I just did that for the ease of showing you how the game is played. The first person will pick one, and then the next person picks one, and then the next person picks one. The only rules are they have to be on the outside edge, so it have to be, you couldn't put it in the center here. And there has to be, you can't be within one space of another player. So like yellow couldn't start there or here. They could start here though. They could start here, but so they have to be. It has to be like a buffer zone. Now occasionally with the 4-player game and with the map, you might be in a situation where the 4th player ends up having to be next to somebody. And if that's the case, then they just have to do that. There's really nothing else you can do. Now I want to point out a couple of things really quick about each one of these tiles. The tiles are going to have, just this like a planet in here. Don't worry about the picture of the planet. It's there to look nice, which it does look nice. But each one basically is being able to be mined for crystals. You're gonna, if you have like control of it and it's undisputed, meaning nobody else has any mining drones on there with you, then you get to mine that spot for 1 crystal. If you have a refinery, which is these cool little chunky white bits here, you get to increase that by 1, because the refinery extracts more minerals. But the most important thing here is I want to point out, like on this side you can see these asteroids, and then over here you can see there's this little energy field. Now the thing is that when you move through space, the open spaces, it just costs 1 movement point to move through those. Asteroids cost 2 movement points to go through, and these energy fields cost 3, and you combine those. So you can kind of see here where these 2 asteroid fields are connected. This one would cost 2, and that one would cost 2. So that would be a total of 4. You can see over here there's an asteroid field and an energy field. That would be 5 movement points. And you can see this sucker here with the 2 different energy fields, that would cost 6 total just to move from this spot to this spot. So you can kind of have to keep that in mind as you're moving your drones through space. So one of the things, the first thing that you're going to do on your turn is you are going to roll your movement total. And you do that by taking your station die, and you just go ahead and roll it, and that's how many movement points you have. And so everybody starts with a D12, so you'd roll that, and in this case you get a 5. Now if you have crystals, and you want to, and you don't like your movement die roll, you can spend 3 crystals to re-roll that. But regardless, so with 5 movement, you can, for 1 movement, you can put one of your drones, it's just a cube, and you can put it in the spot that your space station is. So you can just drop, that would be 1 movement. Now, if you wanted to move that, you would just spend the requisite amount of movement points to get it to another spot. So you could send another movement to go there. That would be 2 of your 5. And then, you could say, okay, I'm going to put another one, 3. So that would be like that would be a total of 3 of your 5. And then you could put another one down, but you can't. If you wanted to, you could move for 2 more. You could move the last 2 and move that through the asteroid field like so. And that would mean you'd have control over those 2 spots. You wouldn't have control over your home base yet because you don't have a drone there. You can, but you can't mine it obviously because there's no mining there. Your space station kind of controls it, if you understand what I'm saying there. But that would be totally valid as far as like your movement points and how you use them. Obviously, if you roll higher on there, you're allowed then to put more of your stuff out on the board and also move your mining drones more once they are placed with the higher the roll. Once you are done, moving everything that you have, then you're going to move into your exterminate or expand section of your turn. Now, exterminate only happens if you all have drones in contention with somebody else. Say like you have 2 drones there, and red has 2 drones there. Now you'd have the option of going through with an exterminate action, because you can actually then fight over that particular spot. Now, if you don't have to fight if you don't want to. You can choose to expand. And if you choose to expand, that just means that you're going to be using drones and using them. And also, you have this guy here, this fabrication drone, which is just like any other drone. You place it and move it around. The one thing about the fabrication drone, though, is they can't be used in combat. They can't be helpful there. But if you, and I'm going to get back to exterminate, but I'm just going to explain expand really quick here. So to expand, you have to have 5 of your drones. Let's just take 5 drones here. And actually, let's just take, there you go, 5 drones. You have to have 5 drones in a location, and your fabricator drone in the same spot, and it has to be undisputed. You couldn't have, yellow couldn't have drones in there. You couldn't do anything until you took those drones out. You'd have to destroy those before you'd be able to get there. And I should mention that once drones enter into a disputed section of the board, they can't move out. So like, let's say yellow did have 2 drones in there, and on yellow's turn, if they wanted to move, they can't. They can't move out of that spot. The only way they're going to get out of there is if, through combat, these, you manage to destroy, like all the blue drones that are in that spot. Or, if blue wanted to leave, they'd have to destroy all the yellow drones that are in there. But anyway, so if you have your 5 drones, a minimum of 5 drones, and you have your fabrication drone in there, then you can go ahead and decide to, like, you can build in that location. If you decide to build a refinery, you don't get to build it automatically. What you have to do is you have to take your station die, whatever that happens to be at that time, and this D12, this production die, and you're going to roll both of these together. And this could be a D10 or a D8. Remember, you're going to roll both those together. You need to get a 10 or higher on the total to successfully build a refinery. And regardless, it's going to cost you 3 crystals, 3 money, basically, in order to do it. So if I had 3 crystals, you spend 3 crystals, you roll again, and I get a 5, and so then I would fail. So obviously, I would not be happy with that, but you can try again. You can spend another 3 crystals, you can take these 2 dice, and you roll them again, and then I got a 14. So when you succeed, you just go ahead and place the refinery down in that location. Now, a couple things about the refineries. They cannot be moved. Once they're there, they're there. And also, if somebody managed to come in and take me out and put their had control over this location, then they would actually get the right refinery. The refinery, like, technically isn't mine. If I ever lose control of that location, somebody else would be able to, use it to gain more resources with that refinery there. For 5 crystals, you can build a force shield, and what that is just it blocks entry. You get 3 of these, and it blocks an entry from coming through. Nobody else can get through that spot. So you just go ahead and you place that there, and for 5 crystals, then you can make sure that, like, yellow, if yellow was here, they wouldn't be able to move through that location to get through it. The other thing you can do with these, remember, you only get 3 of these, so you have a limited number. You can use them to build a jump bridge. And if you use them to build a jump bridge, you can use them to place over one of these energy fields, or ion storms as they're called, and then it allows you to move through them as if they were open space. Now, if you have a border that is both an ion storm and asteroids, you can't build it there. It won't really do any good because you can't use this to get through an asteroid field. You can go to one of these that has the double ion storm, but if you do that, you have to build 2 to get through it because it's a double. So, and that's just a way, obviously, to get around the map quicker, and tactically, and it'll be used to your advantage, to be able to get your mining units to different spots quicker and faster. It should be noted that these little jump bridges or what have you, you're the only person who can use them. Red can't just come by and go, oh, hey, thanks a lot, Blue. I'm going to go ahead and use that. They don't get to do that. So, so you don't have to worry about somebody else taking that over, unlike the refineries. Now, the final thing you can do with production is you can go ahead and for 12 crystals, you can upgrade level 1 to level 2 of your station. And then to get to from level 2 to level 1 to level 2, it costs 15 crystals. And then you go from level 2 to level 3, it costs 18 crystals. And then, of course, at that point, you win the game. Alright, so getting back kind of to the actual battle. So I already set this up kind of for the battle. Battles are quick. They're just dice rolling. What happens there is that each person gets to roll their station die as far as the combat goes. So let's say red and blue both have this. And then they get to add 1 to the roll for each of their drones in the dispute, and you get +1 to your roll for each station section you have built. So let's say it's exactly even. They're both at the very beginning. They both have these 2 in there, so they're going to add 2 to their roll and see what happens. And let's say red initiated the combat, so red's the attacker and blue is the defender. So let's roll and see what happens here. So add 2 to these. So it doesn't really matter with that 2, but so we have blue lost to red. That's 11-3. And so what happens then is that you are going to go ahead and remove, and like you take half of them and you remove them, rounding down. So now we have a situation where red and blue can continue to fight. And so red and blue, they're going to go ahead. They're going to roll again. Now blue only gets to add 1, whereas red gets to add 2. Let's see what happens. So once again, it's going to see blue lost. So because we roll higher, and then the attacker would go ahead and claim that particular spot. Now the winner has the option of doing what's called a battle charge. For every 2 drones they still have left in the area, they can get 1 movement point, which they can then immediately use. So in this case, this guy can move into this area right there, and now they can go ahead and continue the combat. And so we're going to go ahead and roll these again, so it's even again. Let's see what happens here. So blue got a 6, and red got a 4. So blue's going to win that, and the defender is going to go ahead and destroy this drone of red. Now the interesting thing is that the attacker loses. They actually have to pay a bounty back to the person, the defender that they attacked. They have to give them 1 crystal, 1 gem here for each drone that was destroyed by the opponent. So, obviously, they can kind of costly because you do get a ton of those drones. And I should mention also that when you lose drones in these combats, they aren't gone forever. They just go back to your supply, and you can go ahead and build them next turn with your move action to get them out. But in this case, red would then have to pay blue a crystal for the combat that they just lost. And so that's pretty much it as far as the combat goes. You're just going to be it's majority and rolling the dice and trying to make sure you put yourself in the best possible position to win those combats. So finally, after you've done your exterminate or expand, remember you can't do both, you can do what's called exploit. And when you exploit, you're going to go ahead and collect your crystals. And collecting your crystals is just, you can just say, I'm going to collect my crystals, and for each sector that you control, you get 1 you get 1 crystal, and if you have a refinery, you get +1. No, you can't collect anything from a disputed sector. So let's say we had that in there and there. That's disputed, so you would not get a crystal for that particular location. But if blue had here 1, 2, 3, not here 3, 4, they get 4 crystals for that particular spot. However, if you want to, you can try to increase your production. And what you're going to do then is you're going to roll your station die once again, and you're going to take the production die. And this is your chance to double your production to get more crystals that you can use them on your next turn. So you're going to roll these dice, and you get to add +1 to your roll for each of your undisputed tiles, and you add +1 to your roll for each of your refineries on an undisputed tile. So we have 3 and 4 for the refinery, so we'd add 4 to our blue die, and we're trying to roll higher than the production die. If we just roll equal to it or lower, we get no crystals. So let's hope for good luck. So we're adding 4. Let's see what we get here. So 12, so 8 to 9, but luckily because we got the bonus, we would go ahead and get 12 to the 9. And so then, instead of only taking 4, we're going to go ahead and take 8 of these crystals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so you're going to go ahead and take 8 crystals. You're going to go ahead and put those in your pool, and then you're going to go on. The next person can go. Now, the next person takes a turn, the next person takes a turn, and so on and so forth, and game progresses. There's one other rule I should mention that is the maximum number of these crystals you can ever have is 25. If you ever have more than 25 crystals, they're considered to be unstable, and in your like holding cells or whatever, they will disrupt and crumble to dust, and so you have to go ahead and give those back to the pool. The game just continues on until one player manages to finally build the top level of their station, and as soon as that's done, they win the game. This is a classic 4X game that is like, the designer referenced it to me as casual, and I guess I could understand that description, but I never found this really casual. I found this to be very contentious and very at each other's throats, especially when I played this 3 players. I really enjoyed this map, actually. That's why I wanted to show this to you, because it didn't take very long for the players to kind of run into each other, and as soon as that happens, all of a sudden then the power struggles started to erupt, and the contention and the conflict really spiked high and quickly. And I really enjoyed that about this game. So I wouldn't consider it casual. However, I would consider it to be, you know, one of those games that doesn't take a long time to get to the fun, if you will. This isn't something with a giant skill tree. This isn't something where each person has 27 different types of ships. The complexity isn't there, but the fun and the conflict is. So, but let me talk more about that in my conclusion, because this is a very, very fun 4X game, but it's not like any 4X game I really played prior to this one. So, alright, so let's do that, and I'll tell you exactly why I've been having a lot of fun playing Sector Prime. Alright, thank you very much for taking the time to sit through the how to play portion of the video of how to play Sector Prime. And as I said in that explanation, and also in my introduction for that matter, Sector Prime is kind of an odd duck of a 4X game. I mean, there's lots of 4X games out there that are that classic 4X game that we've come to know and love, that are just about creating your global planetary domination, emperor, whatever, supreme of the galaxy of space. But I mean, this is, as the designer said, this is kind of a casual 4X game. But like I said, I don't agree with that definition, because of the fact I think casual is like, oh hey, let's just kind of play this game and have some fun. This is not a game of, oh hey, let's have some fun. This is a game of, I'm gonna beat you down, and I'm going to take away your planets because I need the crystals. Gimme, 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 gimme. I need them, I need them, I need them. And I like that about the game. Like I said, the maps aren't huge. It isn't something where you can kind of turtle and go, okay, I'm just going to create my stuff here. No, this is a game where it's like you need to reach in to like their still beating heart of their mining drones and rip them out so they can stop collecting these little crystals, because this is the method to win. This isn't a situation where it's like, oh, there's like 7 different ways to collect victory points, and whoever has the most at the end of 27 turns is the best person. No, this is a game of, you need to collect these as much as you can, and you need to keep the other players from collecting them as much as you can, and that means by moving your drones into position to contend with people, just to stop them. Honestly, you need to do it just to stop them from being able to extract that ore. Even if your drones get destroyed, it's fine, because of the fact that you're making them, do that, and because they have to then exterminate instead of expand. They can't actually increase their power. They can't do things that they're like, building those force shields, or building refineries, or even like, building up their space station, the way you win the game. And so you're kind of, forcing your hands. And so this is a game where you have to be attacking each other, or just contending for the spots. You can just sit there and just say, yeah, you got to destroy me, or else you can't do anything. And obviously, I mean, it seems, I'm not going to say simplistic, because it isn't simple, but you have tough choices to make as the person that's in charge of these corporations, because of the fact that you need your drones to like extract the ore from these locations, but one drone on a planet extracts the same amount of ore as 5 on a planet. But you need sometimes 5 to protect the place or to fabricate, and you need it also to like, be able to be in a prime spot that if you roll really good on your movement roll, you can shove them into somebody else's location and then go to war with them over that particular spot. So you can then get more of these, And it's one of those things too where it's, you always seem, at least when I played it, you always seem to like just never having enough. It's just like you don't have enough movement. You don't have enough crystals to buy the stuff you want. You don't have like the room to get your stuff to where you want it to be. And so it becomes a very, very challenging game. Not only because the game itself is kind of set up to like kind of hold you back a little bit, but also the other players are, like as I said, in direct contention with you. Like right after like the first or second turn, you're butting heads right away. And so this is a game of like kind of a game beyond the game as well. You're going to be like saying, hey, don't attack me this turn. We got to get this guy. He's got too many crystals. We got to make sure he doesn't build a station. You have things like that going on as you play the game. And so it is. It has all those elements that I really enjoy. Now, I actually realized at this moment I forgot to mention one rule, and I do apologize for that. When you attack, like if you are going to do your exterminate action, you have to have crystals to do it. You have to have the same number of crystals that equal the number of drones that are going to be involved in that attack. So it is something where like you can't just sit there and attack. You got to make sure that you can actually like pay the piper, if you will, if you want to spread some bloodshed. And that just adds another wrinkle to it as well. It's like, oh man, I'd really love to like go to war with this guy, but I need to spend some time building up my coffers a little bit so I can then do the attack. But wait a minute, I need my coffers so I can go ahead and build a refinery, or I can improve my space station, all those things. So once again, tough choices, difficult decisions, things like that make games like this a lot of fun. So there you go. If you have any questions about Sector Prime, I'd love to hear them. I try to answer those to the best of my ability. As always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. And as always, I am the Undead Viking, and I'm telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. Alright, bye-bye.